What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got Josh, Jordan, and Chico from the Black Moods. Thank you guys for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you guys here. The newest album is Sunshine, which is absolutely awesome, which came out this month. Was this intended to just be like a continuation from what you guys would have done on the Medicine record, or was this almost kind of like a new start for the Black Moods?
Well, some of the songs we started writing during the course of making Medicine, but actually demoed them for Medicine. They just didn't make the cut. Yeah, and we just weren't happy with, we just knew they weren't done yet. And so, yeah, a bit of a continuation, but we recorded this thing completely on, it was just us three, it was in our garage. Well, we turned our garage into a studio, so we were very much at home, and it's how we sound, us three, instead of not a lot of production, not a lot of overdubs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the record did sound like very raw and very organic. Maybe because you turned your own garage and like your own home into a studio, like everything was straight from you guys in a way, right? There was no like additional like this or auto-tune on that or whatever. It was just a straight organic song.
Yeah, and it was comfortable. We weren't in a place where you were watching the clock because you're getting charged, by the hour or whatever. It was, our spot. So.
Mm-hmm.
We could go until we passed out on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Was there kind of like a preconceived idea of what you wanted Sunshine to sound like, being that some songs you wrote during Medicine, or like was there maybe kind of like a lot of improvising involved with the rest of the songs?
No, we just knew we wanted it to be, to sound like a three-piece rock and roll band this time, because with Medicine there's quite a bit of production, oohs and ahs and that kind of thing, and we just kind of stripped everything down. So we knew we didn't want it to sound like Medicine. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just every time you make another record, it's got to be different than the last one, or you're just you're making the same record again, swimming in circles.
Yeah. I've noticed like that every song on Sunshine, or not every song, but like I feel like this album in a way like kind of played by its own rules. Like I thought a song like Sunshine was very different from a song like Lack of Love, or different from like Dirty Mess. Like was there kind of like a lot of emotions that were being felt with the making of this album? Was there kind of like a lot of experimentation in the songwriting process?
No, I think we paid a lot more attention, to detail lyrically this time around, just because Johnny Cape really pushed that on us. But as far as the theme goes, I think it just kind of, it came out where it's pretty positive and rocking, and then it kind of just ends really nice. It's like I feel like you come in with a punch in the face, and it ends with a pat on the butt.
That should be your slogan for your entire band.
You heard it first.
Yep. I'll write you guys a bill just to use that because it was my idea.
Yeah, just invoice the Black Moods.
Yeah, you mentioned like the lyrics, but like or theme. Like, is there ever a time where maybe lyrics or a subject matter could determine like the music itself ever, or do you guys need music before lyrics are ever written at all?
I think it's usually percussive. Vocally it's percussive, kind of, because when we start, it comes all ways. It takes all kinds to write. There's no rules to it. But I think with these songs, they kind of came out where we would jam on the music because we were all sitting in the room together, and then we just scat like, melody lines. Kind of fill in the blanks at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like the song "Home" that Josh wrote, that one I felt like you probably had more of a conceived, lyrical idea for that one. You know what I mean? The other ones are kind of, like you said, we were just kind of writing the songs. The songs kind of came first, like the music kind of came, and then we were like, okay, so what do we throw in here? Like "Bad News," I think was actually just good news before. Yeah, it was like, hey, it's good news. I got my. She was like, sucks. Bad news, bro. Bad news. And so it just kind of. And even when we got to that part, we're like, okay, bad news, I got my eyes on you. And then I was thinking, well, what do we say here? Where I was like, I was like, oh, shit, we can just say, eyes on you,
So it just kind of came like that.
Yeah, nothing could be more heartbreaking too, right, than having like the best lyrics ever, and then they always go like one syllable over or under the actual arrangement.
Yeah, that's kind of where you just kind of you bend the corners to make it fit.
Go on rhymezone.com.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time there.
Yeah. Now, as you guys say, you wanted something to sound like a three-piece rock band, because I've always thought that, if you're a three-piece where it's, a guitar/vocalist, a bass/vocalist, and a drummer, and, you're pretty much naked on there. Like, there's no, there's not too much backing tracks. But, when it comes, do you almost kind of, have to adjust your sound depending on what you have, having three members?
Like, adjust our sound recording or adjust our sound live?
Sound recording and live. It could go both ways.
Yeah, you know where the holes are. Yeah, and we do. Live I use this is the bass player Jordan. Live I use different effects to kind of fill in the gaps. You know what I mean? Because you're right. When it's just three people, fuck man, you're right. You are pretty naked up there on stage. But when Josh goes into guitar solo, I'll tap on a pedal and it kind of fills in a little bit of pieces and little harmonics that you might not normally hear. But yeah, absolutely. And as being the only guitar player in the band, you learn how to play the lead parts and the rhythm parts to where it doesn't sound empty.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, it's a lot more work, but a lot more fun too at the same time. And you don't have to. My problem is I just never there was never another guitar player that I completely trusted to play the right. You don't just having somebody else up there. It's a risk of somebody making a mistake. Is the way I look at it. So.
Yeah, and you're slightly botch a note in the live performance. People are going to hear it one way or the other.
Yeah, that's what makes it human. That's fun,
Of course. And, when you call yourself a rock band, because rock has, evolved so much over the years, when people hear rock, they'll think of the classics, Zeppelin or the Stones, but then, some people got into rock through, more alternative bands, from the 90s, like Third Eye Blind or Everclear, and then some people are, saying, younger generations are saying, Fozzy is their first rock band or something like that. But I've noticed that there's, a lot of different rock vibes on here. Do you guys take inspiration from any different sources?
Everything. You name it, yeah. I mean, we all kind of... this is Chico. We all came from different backgrounds, different parts of the country, and, so that's kind of the collaboration that we have together is our different backgrounds. Josh came from, Missouri and grew up on, Alabama. Country music. Merle Haggard. Southern rock a lot, And Jordan, what did you grow up on, Jordan? Well, I'm a little... I had all the old stuff too. My dad played music, so I was listening to a lot of older, Boston or Molly Hatchet. But I feel like we're all pretty influenced on newer stuff too, like Nothing But Thieves or the Black Keys. We're pretty influenced on newer stuff too. It's we listen to everything. Yeah, I mean, I would say we're a little bit country and we're a little bit rock and roll. No, I'm just kidding. But we definitely we're across the board on our influences, but. I think what really cuts through is, the 70s vibe, which, we grew up, our parents, of course, 60s and 70s, and then, when the 90s came around, bands like Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, the Gin Blossoms, Counting Crows, that kind of stuff really sunk into my psyche as far as writing songs, So, kind of mix all that.
Yeah, and I'd imagine, taking inspiration from multiple sources has got to make it easier to try new things, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. This is Chico again, I grew up I didn't grow up on classic rock. I grew up on hip-hop and Nirvana and stuff like that, and so all different types, that's what makes, I think it comes out in our music, because I think differently than these guys do, but at the same time, it comes out as a pretty simple rockin' product, I think.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys ready for the most difficult question in the interview? I want all three of you to answer this one.
Okay. All right.
Because, most of the songs on this album, you got the 3.5 minute mark, 4 minute mark, but then you have a song like Home that's 10 minutes. How do you guys know when a song is done? Who wants to go first?
Well, also, got to keep in mind with Home, Home also is only like 3 minutes long. We just put that gap in there because, you know, we put a little hidden gem at the end of it. We actually recorded it. We recorded a version of Belladonna at Third Man Records at Jack White's place in Nashville. And he has like an old 1940s recording booth where you go in and, you know, back in the day, you cut a record and they'd burn it right to a 45. So we did that there just for fun. We liked it so much, we put it on the end of the record. So, yeah, being said, yeah, the Home's really like 3 minutes, yeah. Yeah. It just looks long, but it's not. Back to your question. Yeah. How do we know when a song is done? I don't know. As a musician, I'm pretty like particular. Like I'll work on a song for forever, so it's like it's never done in my eyes. Because even after we recorded "Do It Again" or "Dirty Mess," I still listen to that track and I'm like, fuck, I could change this, I could change that, but it's done. It's set in stone. But when we play it live, I mean, I guarantee you, the three of us sitting here right now, we play something a little different than we recorded it. Every time, always kind of evolving in our minds, and that's the beautiful and horrible thing with writing, is like, you know, it's so amazing when it's done, but it's like, in your mind, you're like, is it really done? You know, you always want to do more, but sometimes you gotta like let it go and let it kind of be. And that's the cool thing about recording is you can record it, and that's what you did at that time in your life. And then later on, as you keep playing it, it keeps evolving. Which to me is what I love about live music. When I go see a band that I know every single note and they play it differently live, I love that. Yeah, and as far as like knowing when a song's done, for me, like singing it, and, you know, the melody and everything, once you have the lyrics locked in place for verse, chorus, bridge, all that, and you can play it from top to bottom, the song's done. As far as you know when the song's done at that point, but the music's always, you know, it's always growing and changing. You know, it depends on what mood we're in, is how certain songs will go. But lyrically, give a here or there, or a he or she or they or whatever. You know, giving little swapping on words once in a while to change, depending upon your mood. That's fine. But the music, you can always flow, and you know, you usually use the same chords, just maybe a little bit different. Yeah. Different variation of some notes.
Yeah, it's fair to say you guys like to capture a moment when you create a song, right? Like every song is kind of like a moment of what you guys are feeling at that particular time.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back memories when I listen to that stuff.
But do you find it maybe like the longer you're working on something, the harder it is to kind of keep that moment captured in a way?
Yeah, definitely. I would say so. Well, yeah, because then you start picking it apart and it loses its awesomeness, and it's like a thing. Because then you're like overthinking it. That's what a producer's there for, is to put, you know, brakes on it. Be like, okay, it's good, because you can sit there and we can pick a song apart. Be like, oh, I'm sure it should do this, and it's fun to do that and turn it over very soon you can. But then eventually it gets out of hand and you never get anything finished. Mm-hmm. That's what a producer's there for, is to be like, okay, this is done, you know.
Yeah, and I'd imagine that, you know, having a producer, I've always said that a producer is like the 5th Beatle, the 6th Beatle, if you're in Slipknot, the 11th Beatle, or whatever, how God knows how many members there. But like, when you had Johnny, you had Johnny working on this album, who's, you know, worked with a lot of great bands as well, so I'd imagine that having a producer has got to bring in some newer elements into the band as well, right?
Totally. Yes. Yeah, he's pulled a lot out of us, you know, especially, I feel bad for Josh, the singer. Like, whenever we got the vocals and guitar, whenever we got, like, all the instruments done, like, when it was time for vocals, I mean, he really, like, you know, wants you to hurt yourself. Yeah, well, he wants you to get, like, the best take, you know. He would lay down, like, 6 amazing takes on vocals, and Johnny would be back there like, all right, now try not to suck this time. And then Josh would go out there and nail it again, you know, and then before he would even know he was moving on, he'd be moving on, you know, like he really would push it and like pull things out of you, you know. And there was times that he was like really getting on Josh. He's like, all right, do it right, and he wasn't even recording. He was just sitting back there laughing, trying to motivate him, trying to get the best out of him. And there's nothing more vulnerable than being isolated from everybody and knowing that the band and the producer and, you know, whatever girls you got hanging out or whatever party's happening in the other room, you can't see their faces, and it goes dead quiet after you cut a vocal track, and everybody's kind of sitting there, and you're like, okay, what did you think of that? You know, and everybody's in there just laughing their asses off at you, and you know, it's a pretty vulnerable spot to be in.
Definitely. But nothing is more vulnerable as well as being a three-piece band. It seems like you guys are the most vulnerable band. You're a three-piece, and then you have this issue in the recording studio, and then of course there's playing live on stage. When it comes to playing on stage, is there maybe a similar energy that you have bringing your live presence into the songwriting? Is there maybe a similar creative aspect to that, or is playing live and songwriting almost a completely different art altogether?
That's a really good question, because I think it would be a case-by-case basis, really.
Because for me, like when it comes to writing, for me, like I'm a little different than these guys. Like I'm more intimate. Like I'd rather just be the three of us sometimes than just alone in a room, kind of just figuring out the nitty-gritty of the song or the lyrics or whatever. Because sometimes you put yourself in a very vulnerable situation when you're around people. You're trying to work on lyrics or the music, and it's never a finished product when you're working on it. It all sucks, you know what I mean? You're trying to make it sound good, and when there's people there, it's hard for me to kind of focus on that. Like, I like to be, like, when I write, I like to be alone or, like, with the guys, like, separately, and I get a little more done that way. Whereas these guys, like, when we write, a lot of times there's, like, a fucking party going on in the studio, and we're like, all right, let's write the song, and I'm, like, forced to kind of be in that moment where, like, all right, whether I suck or I don't suck, like, you just kind of got to let it out, which I think both are really cool.
Yeah, and it's different for each song too, because sometimes we'll be, depending where we're at in the country where we're writing the song, it could be at a KOA around the campfire, or like Jordan said, at our studio, and there's 14 people here all doing, beer bongs
and regular bongs.
Yeah. Could people maybe, if they got to know the three of you better, like, and they listened to the album, they would be able to maybe tell, like, which song was written where?
Maybe. I mean, maybe if they were there when it was born,
If the production quality kind of matched it, like,
or if it's like it's full of strange. I don't know. We have some fans like that'll come on and they'll be hanging on the bus when we're on tour, and just be, as we're all sitting around drinking after the show, the acoustics will get them out and start making a little noise, and then it's nice to hear them comment later. Like, it's kind of exciting for them, because they're like, "Oh my gosh, I remember sitting there when you came up with this, idea," and then you get to hear it on the record. That for me is really exciting when you have a fan or a friend. I mean, fans are friends to us, same thing. And it's like that they come in and they remember the sperm of it, and then it's like, oh my gosh, when it's the finished born child, they're like, oh my gosh, that's really exciting for them. It makes me happy too, because the fact that they remember those little moments are cool for memories and that kind of thing.
Definitely.
Because we burn a lot of brain cells, so we don't remember much.
you put all of them into the songwriting. Yeah, and what happens when you run out of brain cells when you finish writing the album? You'd be like, oh shit, I forgot we have to play this live. How are we going to do it now?
Oh man, believe me, I've forgotten plenty of words on stage, and
we just had our Sunshine release live stream, and half the songs we had to relearn.
yeah. we wrote them in the studio, so they weren't all on the set list yet, because before the record was out, we didn't want to just be playing them all the time, and so that was like a crash course in learning our own songs that we wrote.
Well, every time you make new art, you learn a thing or two about yourself, and therefore you also got to learn the songs. That is the soundtrack to that moment in time.
Yeah. Yep.
So before we go, I want to thank you guys so much for your time today. Obviously thanks to a certain virus that shall not be named. But obviously touring is on hold right now, but I'd imagine we'll be seeing you on the road quite a bit when all this is over, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yep. We're ready.
And we'll be ready for you here in New York. Thanks again, guys, so much. Everybody.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Stay safe.
Of course, everybody, we are here with the Black Moods. Be sure to pick up Sunshine if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.